Hello everyone, I am Dr. Muhammad Meraz Alam, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Jaipur. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss national income and its concept. First of all, we will discuss the definition of national income. What is national income and what it should be, right? Usually, in general sense, we have understanding of national income. The total income of a nation is called national income, right? In real terms, national income is the flow of goods and services produced in an economy in a particular period of time, say 1 year, right? You may also take like total goods and services produced in a country during a period of time. Okay, here there is a one word that is flow. Why it is flow? There are very two important concepts in the macroeconomics, that is flow and stock. Everyone should be familiar about this two terminology, particularly when we study the macroeconomics. Right? Flow is something which is calculated on the over the period of time, like national income. Usually when national income calculated for the 1 year, okay, here time is involved, that is 1 year. That's why it is a flow concept. And the second one is stock. Stock is something which is calculated on the point of time, right? Such as what is the stock of money supply in the economy right now? Usually, a stock of money supply is calculated point of time. Suppose the RBI issues the statement that what is the money supply in the economy right now. That's why it is a stock concept, because it involves point of time. But in the case of national income, usually we calculated national income for the 1 year. And here is the length of time is 1 year. That's why it is the flow concept. Okay. Now, modern economy is a money economy. Thus, national income of a country is expressed in a money term. This is convenient for all of us. Different country have a different currency system. In our economy, our currency is rupee. In the US currency is dollar. In Britain, there is a pound. Different country have a different name of their currency. Usually, every country calculated their national income in their own currency, right? Here in India, we are calculating our national income in rupees term. Okay, a national sample survey has therefore defined a national income. National sample survey, which also known as NSS, sometime it is known as NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, has therefore defined a national income as the money measures of the net aggregate of all commodities and services accruing to the inhabitant of community during a specific period of time. In other words, we can say that national income is a money measure or value of net aggregate of goods and services becoming available annually to the nation as a result of economic activities of the community at large, consisting of household or individuals, businesses, firms, and social and political institutions. The time is accepted as 1 year all over the world as it is concerned with the natural and seasonal factor. In 1 year, all the seasons repeat itself. Thus, all the definition of national income consider one. In this definition, there is a concept of economic activities, right? Usually, there are three sectors in which where all the economic activities has been categorized or classified. Okay, all the economic activities of a nation can be grouped into three categories. Number one, primary sector. Okay, primary sector includes all the agriculture activities and its allied activities. Okay, allied activities means horticulture, fisheries, animal husbandry, and like that. Mining and quarrying is also included in the primary sector, right, which is also known as agriculture sector. Number two is secondary sector, which is also known as manufacturing and industrial sector. All the manufacturing activities in a nation or in an economy are included in the secondary sector, right? And the third one is service sector. All the service sector such as hotel industry, tourism, jobs of teacher, jobs of engineer, all the services are included in the service sector, which is the most important sector in terms of GDP contribution. Almost 60% of GDP comes from these service sector. In terms of contribution, GDP contribution, it is the largest sector of India. Okay. Now, come to the specific definition of national income given by different economists over the time, right? The definition of national income can be grouped into two classes broadly. The traditional definition advanced by Marshall, Pigou, and Fisher. Marshall was the neoclassical economist. Pigou and Fisher was a classical one. And second group is modern definition given by Professor Simon Kuznets. Now come to the Marshallian definition. What is the national income? According to Marshall, the labor and the capital of a country acting on its natural resources produce annually a certain net aggregate of commodities, material and immaterial, including services of all kinds. This is the true net annual income or revenue of the country or national dividend. In this definition, the word net refers to deduction from the gross national income in respect of depreciation of capital, equipment used in the creation of productive activity, and to this must be added income from abroad. Okay, depreciation should be highlighted here. Depreciation is, you can say, it is a wear and tear of a capital. Capital, you can say it is a machine, money. Usually, for the understanding purpose, we are using machines for the capital, right? Because suppose there is a businessman, he bought a new machine in the 2020 and he want to sell it in 2021. The price of machine will be less than what he when he was bought it. Okay, and the less price because of wear and tear of machines, because of depreciation of machines. Okay, now come to the features of definition. What is the feature of Marshallian definitions? It is measured on 1 year basis, which all are know, which we all are knows about it. It includes the value of goods and the services. It includes only those things which are produced by labor and the capital of a country with the help of the natural resources. It excludes the depreciation and debasement of capital goods. It includes the net foreign investment in the country. It includes all those goods and services which are produced by friends, relatives, or organizations free of cost. Right? No doubt, Professor Marshall's definition is theoretically sound, simple, and comprehensive, but it has got some serious practical limitations as well. Okay, what is these serious limitations? It is not easy to ascertain or make a statistically correct estimate of the total production of goods and services in an economy. The problem of double counting has been ignored. How to make allowance, allowance for the portion of the produce kept for self-consumption. The problem of current and base year prices is also ignored. Right. Now come to the definition given by Pigou. Right. Marshall's follower A.C. Pigou has in his definition of national income included that income which can be measured in terms of money. In the word of Pigou, national income or national dividend is that part of objective income of the community, including of course income derived from abroad, which can be measured in money. Okay. This definition is better than Marshall's definition because it has proved to be more practical also. The above definition of Professor Pigou is classificatory. Okay, it takes into account of those goods and services which can be measured by the measuring rod of money. You know, we all know that money is a act as a measuring rod, right? We all have studied earlier that when we were discussed about the functions of money, we all know that money act as a measuring rod. Okay, and the Pigou includes money in their definition as a measuring rod. That's why it is more appropriate than the Marshall's definition. All those goods which are given as a gift, bounties, etc., are not included in the national income. Right? Professor Pigou's definition is used in exchange economy where goods and services are exchanged for money only. The definition takes into account the net value of goods and services which are exported and imported. Which are exported. But Professor Pigou's definition of national income are also not free from criticism. It has also a certain criticism. Okay. The important criticism advanced by economists are national income estimate account for only those goods and services which are exchanged for money. It is not appropriate for an underdeveloped country where there is a barter system is prevalent. Okay. The all you are aware about the barter system. I suppose you all understand the barter system. What was the mechanism of barter system? Okay. Barter system was the mechanism where goods exchange for goods, right? There were the tradition in the uh, earlier period, their goods were exchanged for goods. The barter system is exchange. The barter system for exchange is still prevalent in the some of the underdeveloped countries. Even in India, you will find it in the remote and village area where goods and services are exchanged for the goods and services. That's why it is the important criticism for the Pigou's definition of national income. The second criticism is The measuring rod of money is also defective. Why? This makes the calculation of national income very faulty. Pigou himself has said that the services rendered by women enter into the national dividend when they are rendered in exchange of money, whether in the factory or home, but do not enter into it when they are rendered by the members and the wives to their own family, right? Thus, if a man pays to his maid servant for her services, the money payment will be included in the national income. But if that man marries the maid servant, then her service will not be included in the national dividend, though the services rendered are the same or rather better. Thus, these services are included in one case and are excluded in another case. This is the classic example where you can understand the services of women which are not included in the national income and which are included in the national income, right? Now comes to the Fisher's definition. Fisher picked up in his study consumption as the criteria of national incomes, whereas Marshall and Pigou regarded it to be production, right? Marshall's and Pigou's definition was based on the production, but Fisher chose the consumption for their measurement of national income. Okay, according to Fisher, the national dividend or income consists solely of services as received by ultimate consumers, whether from their material or from the human environments. Thus, a piano or an overcoat made for me this year is not a part of this year's income, but an addition to the capital. Only the services rendered to me during the year by these things are income. Fisher's definition has been considered as a better than the Marshall or Pigou's because Fisher's definition provides an adequate concept of economic welfare which is dependent on consumption, and consumption represents our standard of living. Fisher's definition is also has some criticism. Okay, the criticisms are various economists are of other view that from the practical point of this definition is less useful and improper because there are certain difficulties in the measuring the goods and the services in terms of money. It is very difficult to estimate the money value of net consumption than that of net production. Certain consumption goods are durable and last for many years. If we consider the example of piano or overcoat as given by Fishers, only the services rendered to us during 1 year by them will be included in income, right? The third criticism of Fisher's definition is the important aspects are regarding the durable goods generally keep changing hands, leading to a change in their ownership and value. If therefore becomes to it therefore becomes difficult to measure in money the services value of these goods from the point of view of consumption, right? Now come to the Professor Simon Kuznets definition, which is considered as a modern definition of national income. Simon Kuznets was an expert advisor to the National Income Estimate Committee of India in 1949. Okay, he has the practical experience of estimating national income in India and the USA as well. His view was that the concept of national income may be simple from theoretical point of view, whereas most difficult from the practical point of view. He has defined a national income in practical perspective as the net output of a commodity and the services flowing in a year from the country's productive system in the hand of ultimate consumers or into net addition to the country's capital goods, right? In practical life, while estimating national income, any of these four definitions may be adopted because the same national income would be derived if different its were correctly included in the estimate, right? Now, there is a question in your mind, which definition is the best? Okay. From the above all definitions which is written, the definition of Professor Simon Kuznets is more comprehensive and can be considered as the best definition of national income because it is fully equipped with theoretical and practical significance. Right? What is the features of the Simon Kuznets definition? The features are as it is the net aggregate of goods and services, right? The second feature, only those goods and services are taken into consideration which are produced by the productive system of an economy. And the third feature is the period of production is taken as 1 year. Next feature is in order to avoid the problem of double counting, only those goods are considered as product which either go into the hands of ultimate consumer or used by the productive system as a capital goods. Okay. Next feature is national income is considered as flow of goods and services. The flow is a continuous one, right? But this definition takes into consideration only domestic income and ignores the concept of net income earned from abroad. Further, the estimation of national income, the concept of ultimate consumer is ignored. We normally undertake that value of goods which we get in exchange for commodity. This is all about the definition of national income, right? Now we will come to the concept of national income. What is the different concept of national income are? Is okay. The different concept of national income is first one is the gross national income or gross product, which is also known as the GNP. Okay. What is GNP? GNP, you may define the GNP as the total market value of all final goods and services produced in a year. It is the money value of all the final goods and services, which is the labor and the capital of a country working on its natural resources have been produced in a year. It includes not only the part of the production which is brought to the market for sale, but also that part of the produce which is kept for self-consumption. While estimating gross national product, a care is taken into a care is taken that no commodity is counted more than once. For this, only the value of the final goods and the services produced or value added by each producer is included in the gross national product. Factors to be taken into consideration while studying gross national product. As GNP is the measure of money, so all kinds of goods and services produced in a country during 1 year are measured in terms of money at a current prices and then added together. Okay. In estimating GNP of the economy, the market price of only the final product should be taken into account. Many of these products pass through a number of stages before they are ultimately purchasing by consumers. Okay. Goods and services rendered free for charge not included in GNP because it is not possible to have a correct estimate of their market prices. Next, the transactions which do not arise from the produce of current year or which do not contribute in any way to production are not included in the GNP. The sale and the purchase of old goods and shares, bonds or asset of existing companies are not included in GNP because they do not make any addition to the national product and the goods are simply transferred. The next feature is the profit earned or loss incurred on account of changes in the capital assets as a result of fluctuation in the market prices are not included in the GNP if they are not possible for current production or economic activity, right? Now, the next concept is the net national product, that is NNP. Net national product NNP, that is NNP, refers to the value of the net output of the economy during the year. It is obtained by deducting the value of depreciation or replacement allowances of the capital assets from the GNP. To put it symbolically, you can write NNP equal to GNP minus D. D represents depreciation allowances. The value is measured at current prices, while GNP is expressed at the current market prices. Net national product, in fact, is the value of total consumption plus the value of net investment of the community. It is the sum of total net values added by each producer in the productive process of an economy during 1 year period. 1 year period. The third concept is gross domestic product, GDP. In short, is the money value of all goods and services produced annually within the territorial limits of the country. Okay, gross domestic income includes wages and salaries, rent including imputed house rent, interest, dividend, undistributed corporate profits including surpluses of public undertaking, mixed incomes consisting of profit of unincorporated firms, self-employed person, partnership, etc. Next concept is the direct taxes. In the estimation of gross domestic product, no consideration is given. Okay? No consideration is given to the fact that whether the gross value of produce is with the combined effort of only the people of the country with corporation and foreigners, but the product must be produced in the country alone, as the net earning from abroad are excluded, right? Therefore, domestic income equal to national income minus net income earned from abroad. Thus, the difference between domestic income and the national income is the net income earned from abroad. If we add net income from abroad to the domestic income, we get national income. That is, national income equal to domestic income plus net income earned from abroad. But the net national income earned from abroad may be positive or negative. In the case of India, it is negative. Net national income earned from abroad is negative. Why? Because we export more, we import more, but export less, right? That's why in the case of net national income earned from abroad is negative in the case of India. The fourth concept is per capita income, okay? Per capita income refers to the average income of an individual in a particular year, okay? It denotes the income received by an individual during a certain year in a country. In order to find the per capita income of a country in a certain year, we divided the national income of a country or of that country which we want to know the average income by the population of that country in that year. For example, per capita income equal to national income of India in 2020 divided by population of India in 2020, which gives us the per capita income. Okay, it is clear that a country having high national income and a less population will have higher per capita income. The concept of per capita income help us in estimating the standard of living of different nations, and it's also serve as an index of economic development. The fifth concept of the national income is personal income. Personal income is the aggregate income received by the individuals of a country from all sources before payment of direct taxes in 1 year. It is derived from national income by deducting undistributed corporate profits, profit taxes, and implies contribution to the social security. These three components are excluded from national income because they do not reach, because they do reach individuals. It can never be equal to the national income because the former includes the transfer payment where they are not included in the national income. Okay, so personal income equal to national income plus transfer payment plus interest on public debt minus undistributed corporate profit minus profit taxes minus social security contribution. Okay, personal income differs from the private income in that it is less than the latter because it excludes the undistributed corporate profit. Thus, personal income equal to private income minus undistributed corporate profits. Okay. Now come to the next concept of national income, that is disposable income. Okay, or personal disposable income. Disposable income or a personal disposable income is the actual income which can be spent on consumption because it is the income that are available to us after paying the direct taxes. Okay. Therefore, in order to obtain the disposable income, direct taxes are deducted from the personal income. Thus, disposable income equal to personal income minus direct taxes, right? Now, come to the point why where national income analysis is important. Why national income is important, okay? There are some points where we will able to understand the concept of why national income are important for the analysis. The national income analysis of great importance for the economy of a country. These days, it has been regarded as the account of the economy, which are known as social account. Social account tell us how the aggregate of national income's output and product result from the income of a different individuals, product of industry, and the transaction of international trade. These help us to assess the pace of economic development of a country. If they are not in a position to measure the progress of the country precisely, at least they show us the trend and trends and give us at least an idea as to understand of living of a community or the people of the country. Thank you so much. Today we will stop here. In the next session, we will discuss the next topic. Thank you so much once again.